diving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good morning. Good morning. Yep, it's morning, all right. It used to be a morning after. Apparently my phone did not charge last night. So, nothing like a little day charging for the phone. Right. You know what videos kind of get me? The people that get pulled over and just want to argue with police officers. Seriously? Really? Really? You're gonna argue over here. What I do wrong? Well, I know my rights. I know my rights. You just don't want to get caught at something. You want the likes, the loves. I mean, people are willing to put other people's lives in danger so that they can be on video. I find that weird. It's kind of weird. Yeah, just saying. Oh, I've met a lot of police officers in my life. Some through good means, some through illegal means. I only hate cops when I'm doing something wrong. I'm gonna grab a little bit more coffee. I'll grab some coffee here. Hopefully chat's working. Usually somebody said something by now. Let me grab some coffee here real quick. Thanks for letting me do that. All right. Ugh. A unique stability. A unique stability. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. I'm going to be your host today. Looks like we're going to be, well, it says 12 Steps and Traditions, page 132 and 135. All right. So we'll be in the 12 by 12. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. I always appreciate when they do traditions here. Looks like we're probably going to be in tradition 2 today. Now, here come all the cats. Something going on with them. My oldest cat is being a real jerk today. One 132 through 135. That's pretty much the whole chapter. So, hopefully chat is working. Yep. So chat is not showing up again. Not sure what's going on. I know. I bet that's from Amber saying my stuff, chat isn't fucking working. Yeah, I know. Not anything I can do about it, so I will go back. I will go back and forth. So if you want to keep posting on the YouTube chat, it is showing up on YouTube. So it's a restream problem. So I will continue to kind of flip back and forth. I do that anyway, honestly. So you just don't know. Unless you can hear my clicking, then you'll know. So feel free to keep chatting in on YouTube. All right. I apologize for that. I have no control over it, though. I have no control. It is bullshit, It seems to be working less than it is more. But I already bitched so much they gave me pretty much 6 months free. In fact, next month I got to start paying again. So I can't really bitch about free, which is probably why they gave it to me, so I would stop bitching. Because they would just give me lame excuses. They'd be like, well, Facebook changed the rules. And I write back, that's not my problem. So then you need to work with Facebook. That's what I pay you for. That huge $20 a month. All right. Where does AA get its direction? Who runs it? Oh, let's do the let's read the actual whatchamacallit first, tradition. For our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as he may express himself in our group conscious. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. I know I say it a little weird. Good morning, Leisure. It is good to see you. Good time to practice acceptance. Very good point. Yes, I know I said authority wrong. It's because I do impressions, and Cartman is one of them, and that's the word that I started on to do the impression. Authority. All right. Where does AA get its direction? Who runs it? This too is a puzzler to every friend and newcomer. When told that our society has no president having authority to govern it, no treasurer can compel the payment of any dues, no board of directors who can cast an erring member out into the darkness, when indeed no AA can give another directive and enforce obedience, our friends gasp, and they exclaim. This simply can't be. There must be an angle somewhere. Why are people always trying to look for angles? It's just an untrusting world, isn't it? Do your homework. Get your receipts. Figure out if they're telling the truth. You got to, man. You got to. Try a little tenderness, yeah. All right. Another song I like to sing. I like the Commitments version better. I'm a big fan of the Commitments. It's a movie. A rock and roll band came out in the 90s. It did some touring too. I missed their tour though, which sucks because damn, that would have been a lot of fun. Anyway, then these practical folks then read tradition too and learn that the sole authority in AA, now I'm doing it on purpose, is a loving God that he may express himself in the group conscience. It's the group conscious. Yes. They dubiously ask an experienced AA member if this really works. The member, sane to all appearances, immediately answers, yeah, it definitely works. The friends mutter that this looks vague, nebulous, pretty naive to them. Then they commence to watch us with speculative eyes, pick up the fragment of AA history, and soon have the solid facts. What are these facts of AA life which brought us to this apparently impractical principle? Here's the thing. Number one, AA is all inclusive. If you think you have a drinking problem, you're a member. If you say you're a member, you're kind of a member. That's the way it works. It's not like we're going to run around, make sure you have a drinking problem. See, there's so much stigma that comes with this. Nobody really wants to be a part of AA. So, it's not like it really has to do much to keep out what we would call the posers, the people that are posing as alcoholics. Does it happen? Yes, it does. But it usually comes in the form of a different addiction. But I get it. So, speaking of group conscious, we have our group conscious for grassroots today. And, I'm going to tell you now, I've been in a lot of different kinds of group consciences. I've seen I've seen fisticuffs happen over money, over if we should let the newcomer speak, right? There's a lot of power and control that ends up in the group conscious because we don't do it during the regular groups, right? Okay, but there's a right way to bring these things up. There's a right way to do it. Okay, the first thing that needs to happen is we all need to pray first. Because who's the ultimate authority? Well, God is the ultimate authority. We're all going to turn to our individual higher powers to try and get the right answer. And the only answer we should try to be coming up with is, how do we carry the message better? It is the only true question in a group conscience. Okay? I've seen a lot of things brought up in group consciences. Latest one I heard was, hey, let's start a 3/4 house. I'm like, you can't do that. The answer is no. There's no point in even debating, because the answer is no. We can't do that. Okay? So I think you'd be pushing it, you know. Anyway, let's get on with this. John Doe, a good AA moves, let us say, to Middleton, USA alone now. He reflects that he may not be able to stay sober or even alive unless he passes on to other alcoholics what was so freely given to him. He feels a spiritual and ethical compulsion because hundreds may be suffering within reach of his help. Then, too, he misses his home group. He needs other alcoholics as much as they need him. He visits preachers, doctors, editors, policemen, and bartenders, with the result that Middleton now has a group and he is the founder. Going back to angles, Leisure says, I keep looking for angles, but it's hard to find one. Or at least the right angle, right? Being the founder, he is at first the boss. Okay? When I started the grassroots meeting, I made the format. That's about as far as it went. There doesn't really need to be much more. It's a Zoom meeting. It's a Zoom meeting. You know, there's not much to it. So at first, I was the boss. That ended pretty darn quickly. And it should. It should. Who else could be? Very soon, though, his assumed authority, I said it correctly this time, to run everything begins to be shared with the first alcoholics he has helped. Okay. Now, it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough because it used to be people would clamor for service work. Now trying to get somebody to do service work is like twisting somebody's fucking arm. I swear to God, especially in Zoom meetings. It's always the same people hosting. Well, it probably should kind of always be the same people hosting, but that should be a service position that rotates. Okay. I hate that I have to chair almost every frickin' meeting. Okay. I have to come up with a lot of topics as it is, let alone a topic for the meetings too. Right. So it is tough because some of these people that you see running the meeting all the time, they ask quite often if other people would like to chair, but they say nothing. Okay. Well, in a Zoom meeting, it's a lot easier to hide behind your camera and cower. So I'm just going to start volunteering people. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Okay. Sometimes people need a little push. They need a little push. All right. Of course, I'm going to ask first because maybe somebody wants to. Okay, so he wants to chair. All right. Okay. At this moment, the benign very soon he has assumed authority to run everything is shared. At this moment, the benign dictator becomes the chairman of a committee composed of his friends. These are the growing group's hierarchy of service, self-appointed, of course, because there is no other way. In a matter of months, AA booms in Middleton. Now, we had our group conscious, and we put some people into service. I was not voted in for anything. Yay! I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm not the leader. I'm not the dictator. I'm not the boss. I'm the founder. So, but I don't. Who cares about that? Okay. The founder and his friends channel spirituality to newcomers, hire halls, make hospital arrangements, and treat their wives to brew gallons of coffee. Being on the human side, the founder and his friends may bask in a little glory. They say to one another, perhaps it would be a good idea if we continue to keep a firm hand on AA in this town. Nah. After all, we are experienced. Besides, look at all the good we've done these drunks. They should be grateful. Fuck, whatever. True, founders and their friends are sometimes wiser and more humble than this, but more often at this stage they are not. Now, this isn't my first time starting up a group. I learned from the old timers. And I know that you're supposed to pass it on. You're supposed to let it go. Okay. When I was 19, now I was not part of the decision process to start the group, but I was invited to help start a group called Bill's Brown Baggers. It's still going today. There is not one original member that still goes to the group. There's only two of us left. Chris Hill and me. We're the only ones left from the original group that started that meeting. Okay. And I was like the secretary. I had a very nominal job. I think it was actually greeter or something like that, because I was still kind of new, 9 months or so. Right. So, and that's still going today. Not the same meeting, but it's still going. Right. Well, you know what they did? Chet and Joe and Orson and a lot of different people. There was about 5 of them, right? Yeah, I miss all them motherfuckers, man. Sometimes it's hard to talk about, being in AA a while ago, because all those people are gone. They're gone. They passed on. I was 19 years old. Chet was like 50 something at the time. He was my age. Now, all right. Sorry. All right. Growing pains now beset the group. Panhandlers pandle, lonely hearts pine. Problems descend like an avalanche. Still more important, murmurs are heard in the body politic, which tell to the live crowd, do these old-timers think they can run the group forever? Let's have an election. The founder and friends are hurt and depressed. They rush from crisis to crisis and from member pleading, but it's no use. The revolution is on. The group conscious is about to take over. And this is a good thing. Yes, thank God for Chris Hill. The good guy, man. He put a lot of effort into our community. So the group conscious is going to take over. I thought it was really neat. And I actually thanked my sponsee, because it was one of my sponsees that did it. He said, we need to have a group conscious, and we should have it on this day. I'm like, thank you. Because I was waiting. For somebody called group conscious. I didn't think it was me that should do it. So I was really happy to hear somebody say, hey, we need, because he knows my intentions. He knows I don't want to do that forever. I'm here to start it and let it go, man. Why? Because I got 10 other meetings I got to start. I ain't kidding, man. So now comes the election. Yay, the election. If the founder and his friends have served well, they may, to their surprise, be reinstated for a time. If, however, they have heavily resisted the rising tide in democracy, they may be summarily beached. In either case, a group now has a so-called rotating committee, very sharply limited in its authority. Okay, so I'm going to refer to Tradition 8 here real quick. Okay, and Tradition 8 talks about a little bit, anyway, part of it, about creating service work. My service work is creating service work. That's what I do. I create service work, and that is service work in and of itself. It's the part I really enjoy doing. I've been a GSR. I've been an alternate GSR. I've been a treasurer. I've been the secretary. I've held every single position. and I've held none. Yeah. So in either case, the group now has what's called a rotating committee. All right, 6 months to a year. That is the rotating committee. Yes. GSR should be at least a year because there's a lot to get involved with, a lot to learn. Right? Treasurer needs to change hands. Secretary needs to. Why is that? Because other people that are coming in need to have a chance. Sometimes we need to hear new voices, new ideas, different things. Okay. Well, that's going to come from the people that are coming into the program. And they need as much of a chance to be able to do that. I remember I was invited once because this man had held a position, I believe it was the GSR. It doesn't matter what position it was. But they were celebrating it down at a club for 20 years. And I said, no, I am not going to go celebrate something somebody should have let go of 19 years ago. Why did they hold on to that? Selfishness. Look how high I can jump. Power, control. Yes, this happens in group conscious, but it should not continue. No one has power in the group conscious. It is done by a democratic vote. Okay. I lost my page. All right. The secretary, no, their treasurer edited for they are servants. I apologize. Let's just say they are servants. There's the sometimes thankless privilege. Just making sure I'm not. Of doing the group's chores, headed by the chairman. They look after public relations and arrange meeting. Their treasurer, strictly accountable, takes money from the hat that is passed, banks it, pays the rent and other bills, and makes regular reports at business meetings. The secretary sees that literature is on the table, looks after the phone answering service, answers the mail, and sends out notices of meetings. Such are the simple services that enable the group to function. The committee gives no spiritual advice, judges no one's conduct, issues no orders. Every one of them may be promptly eliminated at the next election if they try this. And so they make the belated discovery that they are really servants, not senators. These are universal experiences. Thus, throughout AA does the group conscious decree the terms upon which its leaders shall serve. So I serve. I make no. I can't make any rules. I can't. Even if I went and the only decisions I made for that group was number one that it was going to be closed because I want a closed meeting. I mean, a little selfish. And then what I did is I invited everyone I knew that I wanted to be at the meeting. That's how I started it. Now it's got its own. It's moving forward all on its own. It does not need Dion. Thank God. What it does need is the group conscious. But see, I invited the right people, so I knew that this group conscious would be a phenomenal set of people. I did that on purpose. You bet your ass I did. All right. This brings us straight to the question: does AA have any real leadership? Most emphatically, the answer is yes, notwithstanding the apparent lack of it. Let's turn again to the deposed founder and his friends. What becomes of them? Well, what should become of them? They're now part of something bigger. I think it's just whiny, stupid shit, personally. Okay. They're just using an example. But I do watch it happen. I do see people trying to control the meeting. Okay. And sometimes it's what I would call nefarious, which means they're being sneaky about it. Even the name of my group. See, it just happened. I didn't mean to say it that way. The grassroots, what I have to do is I actually have to schedule a meeting, and I change the name. So when people go in, it says grassroots AA meeting, not Dion Miller's personal meeting room. No, it can't say that. It's got to say grassroots AA meeting, not Dion. See, even that needs to be changed. And people know it needs to be changed. If they don't change it, there's something else going on. Okay. It has to do with, anyway, we're in tradition 2, not 4. As their grief, so what becomes of them? As their grief and anxiety wear away, a subtle change begins. Ultimately, they divide into 2 classes, known in AA slang as elder statements and bleeding deacons. You want the elder statesman. You want the elder statement. But let's Google it. Let's Google it and see what we come up with. Definition of an elder statesman.
Here's the definition of elder statesman: a person who is experienced and well respected, especially a politician.
Well, okay. So somebody who's well respected. Now, why would they be respected? Because they're respecting other people. Because they're leading. Okay. Because a elder statesman is more of a leader. In other words, they're going to go, great job, everybody. Thank you for making this dream a reality. This is so awesome. Definition of a bleeding deacon. Not going to tell us. In context, a bleeding deacon refers to a member who appears to be actively involved in the program, but is secretly struggling with alcohol addiction. So they're still drinking. Doesn't quite fit there. I don't think that's the explanation we're looking for. Anyway, let's move on. Oh, it's going to tell us. Well, let's read on, my friends. Let's read on. And I am checking chat every now and again. All right. The elder statement is the one who sees the wisdom in the group's decision, who holds no resentment over his reduced status, whose judgment fortified by considerable experience is sound, and who's willing to sit quietly on the sidelines, patiently waiting developments. Now, number 1, over a reduced status, there is no status. You didn't have status, so you ain't got to worry about that anyway. The bleeding deacon is the one who is just surely convinced that the group cannot get along without him, who constantly connives for re-election to office, who continues to be consumed with self-pity. A few hemorrhage so badly that drained of all AA spirit and principle, they get drunk. There we go. That's what they were getting to in the definition we listened to. At times, the AA landscape seemed to be littered with bleeding forms. Nearly every old-timer in our society has gone through this process in some degree. Happily, most of them survive and live to become elder statesmen. Good job, man. They become the real and permanent leadership of AA. Theirs is the quiet opinion, the sure knowledge and humble example that resolve a crisis. When sorely perplexed, the group inevitably turns to them for advice. They become the voice of the group conscious. In fact, these are the true voice of Alcoholics Anonymous. They do not drive by mandate. They lead by example. There it is. This is the experience which has led us to the conclusion that our group conscious, well advised by its leaders, will be in the long run wiser than any single leader. It's true. My experience has shown me that that's true in almost every kind of group setting. Yeah. All right, let's get to the reflection, and then we're going to wrap up here. So February 27th, into the fabric of recovery from alcoholism are woven the 12 steps and 12 traditions. As my recovery progressed, I realized that the new mantle was tailor-made for me. The elders of the group gently offered suggestions when changes seemed impossible. Everyone's shared experience became the substance for treasured friendships. I know that the fellowship is ready and equipped to aid each suffering alcoholic at all crossroads in life. In a world beset by many problems, I find this assurance a unique stability. I cherish the gift of sobriety. I offer God my gratitude for the strength I receive in a fellowship that truly exists for the good of all of its members. Now, keep in mind that AA is filled with all sorts of different kinds of people. All occupations are represented. Most religions, or probably every single religion, is taken into effect. Every single person in there, we all voted different. We all do different things in our lives. But we can take all that knowledge from these things that we have or these things that we are, and we can bring them into the group conscience. Now, see where that variation of people has become a positive thing inside of an AA group conscience. Yes, that's where it comes from, man. Okay. Just like your higher power is individualized for you, the group conscious is too. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I really do. I love you. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and have a day.